Let's just take a look at the new cabinet. It appears to be taking shape finally in Nigeria. What is your take on the appointment of the World Banker MD Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the new finance minister?
I think it's very positive if she has the support of the president to carry out the necessary fiscal prudence reforms and economic reforms that are required. She's definitely the star of the new cabinet that's been announced, and the market is treating it positively, especially, but they're waiting to hear when she actually officially starts.
There's been mixed reaction, though, to the reappointment of the oil minister. There's been allegations of corruption there. She also sat with the petroleum industry bill under her leadership, which was delayed for a substantial time. What are your thoughts on her reappointment?
Well, I think our reappointment is probably in line with certain things the president wants achieved in the petroleum sector. And obviously she's convinced the president that she's the person to carry this through. I think the PIB has not been passed, but I think it's going to be very difficult to pass the PIB in an election year. I think the real task now is to get it back on track and try and get it passed as soon as possible now.
Let's look at the banking sector then. Do you think we could have a positive spin-off for banking counters this morning after the announcement that Access Bank and Intercontinental Bank have finally signed a legally binding agreement to merge the two entities?
Definitely, especially for the rescued banks. Everyone's waiting to see one of these transactions be led to a logical end. And with the signing of the agreement this morning, it seems that Intercontinental and Access are going to actually lead to a successful merger, especially with the court cases that haven't been dealt with. I expect there to be a fill-up for the rescued banks in that respect, as people get more confidence that there will be suitors for these rescued banks and deals will be done.
How large will this newly merged entity be in the Nigerian banking space?
It will turn the merged entity into a top 5 bank in terms of assets. The real drive to the bank will be to try and the synergies and the cost savings from merging the two banks and trying to drive the bank forward. But in terms of on day one, its position has been in the top 5 in the Nigerian banking sector.
Let's move on to the flour mills sector. We had flour mills coming out with really disappointing results. They were a market leader for the past 2 years. What is your take on that, especially in light of their dividend, which has just been declared 2 naira per share?
The results were fairly disappointing. In terms of their earnings increased by about 16%, so their cost of sales increased by about 23%. But no one expected the profits to drop by 44%. Now, part of that is probably due to interest costs from the new bond, which they put on their books, which is expected to bring down profits in that sense. But it wasn't expected to be that large a drop.
Because this has been a favorite stock of most traders I've spoken to, now sitting at around 84, just over 84 naira. Is this a stock that you'd be selling in your portfolio because of these results, or does it represent a buying opportunity now after the 5% fall on Friday?
Flour mills have done above the market in the last 2 years, as you mentioned earlier. I think the stock was slightly overvalued in that sense. I think this bringing it down to this, the small come down we've seen, I think there's still a bit more to be seen. But I think for the long-term future, I think flour mills will continue to be a star stock in Nigeria, although the valuation at the moment is probably a bit over-edged.
Let's just quickly look at the agricultural sector. Dangote and Saipem are signing a deal to build the largest fertilizer plant in Africa in Nigeria. What spin-off effects could this have for the Nigerian economy and agricultural companies in particular?
It's a very important deal because, for example, fertilizer is going to be the bedrock of any agricultural revolution in Nigeria. And since agriculture basically employs over 50% of the Nigerian population, it's a key sector and it's a key drive. There's only one other fertilizer plant in Nigeria, which is Natore, which is being recapitalized and renovated by the new owners who bought it off the federal government. Now, this new plant is going to be almost twice the size of its closest rival in terms of ammonia and urea production, which will be awesome. And it will also bring fertilizer sustainability in terms of Nigeria, self-sufficiency to Nigeria in that aspect. Now, the main key thing is that this is a private sector-led investment, and we need the government to then follow through with potential enabling environment and tax and also economic reforms that will make other private investors go into agriculture as well.
And of course, agriculture is a key sector in the economy. It accounts for over 40% of GDP. That was in 2010. So it is a priority area.
It definitely is, and especially if you're trying to look at the rural-urban divide in Nigeria, a vast majority of the rural population is employed by agriculture. In terms of employment and attacking the unemployment problem, unless agriculture is revamped, you're not going to be able to tackle that problem properly. And so agriculture is very important, especially in this government's drive for mass employment.